All right. Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to be interviewing my friend Tranquility today. I hope you'll check out her channel. And we're here to talk about relationships, dating, men, maybe even sex.
Ooh.
So, first of all, before we lay in on our dating experiences with the guys, just a little bit for the guys is we are very male friendly, both of us. And I wanted to bring I wanted to bring Tranquility on. I'm going to start over because I said Denise.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to start over. Okay, start over. Okay, hi everybody. I invited my friend Tranquility on to interview her because I really enjoy her videos and her insights into relationships, men, and personal development. So be sure to check out her channel. So before we start in about our dating experiences with men, which haven't been so great for either of us, we want to make clear that both of us like men. We are male friendly.
Right.
And we don't like women to treat men badly.
We sure don't. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just start out sharing a few things that we appreciate about men, and some red flags that the guys can look for when they're meeting ladies.
Right.
We're all about kindness and respect.
Right. Red flags.
Red flags. Tranquility, you go ahead. You have the floor.
Okay, red flags. Guys, if you're trying to go on a date with somebody and she's more into her phone than she's into you, that's not good. It's time to get out of there. Now, if she's expecting an important call from her job, she's on call, that's a different story. But if her face is in her phone the whole time, there's your sign. That's not a reflection on you as much as it is a bad reflection on her. She may be addicted to her phone, she may be a social media presence and that's all she cares about. How many likes do I have? How many friends do I have online or whatever? And that's not the most authentic self. That's not the most authentic a person could be. You want someone authentic, you want someone genuine, you want someone in the here and now, someone who can put their phone in their purse and all her attention's on you and all of your attention is on her. And even though we have a tendency to be addicted to our phone, I think we're all guilty of that to some extent. I put my phone away when I'm in a social setting or on a date with someone. My phone is tucked away. I don't need it. I'm focusing on this person. And that's what men should focus on. Make sure she's into you and not into her phone or into who notices her when she walks in the restaurant. I mean, come on. Y'all should be on the same page and focused on each other.
Yeah, a lot of guys leave comments on my videos about how women are just like not, they don't want these modern women. And I'm not sure what they're talking about. Yeah, the phone thing for sure. Or that women don't want to do anything for them, or they feel entitled, or they're bitchy or bossy. Like, I don't know why they're saying they don't. And I think these could be younger guys, though. I think women our age, they respect. Women our age are supposed to be supposedly like we're more of the old school, like we're more likely to be faithful and we're more likely to do things for them and put our phone away. And the younger women are different. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it seems like it because we didn't have that element when we were growing up. You had to focus on each other because we didn't have cell phones. So you had to pay attention to the other person. But the online thing, especially for people who are using it for daily validation, that can be their whole universe. And it's in a way, she's cheating on that guy with her device. If that makes sense, Yeah. And that's people don't have to, they shouldn't have to fight for your attention. Either you want to give it or you don't. There's nothing on your phone that's so important that you have to be on it unless you're on call for work. That's a different story. But yeah, I mean, that's just a respect thing. And that's where we have to go back to old school. Remember, we talked about thank you, I'm sorry, tucking your phone away. Don't worry about how many likes you have on there. You could do that later, But I don't want see a commonality of that and then think that all women are that way, because we can't do a blanket statement, all men are this or all women are that. But it is a common thread in today's society because we do have our devices. And so that can be an issue for some people.
I think that, yeah, on the behalf of men, I'm going to ask a few more things too, because one of the things they say also is that women don't want to cook for me. Women don't want to do anything for me. They just want me to do everything for them. They're so entitled. And I think a woman should cook for a man too, and do things for him. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't like doing that right away, just because I'm trying to learn who this person is. And I want to know if they're a gimme. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Because some people are like that. What are you going to do for me? Whoa, hold up. I just met you. Chill. Chill, baby, chill. So, I mean, but when I'm in a relationship and it seems like we're on the same page, I have no problem cutting corners. You know, let's go to the matinee movie. It's cheaper. I'm big on that. Big on that. You know, Applebee's 2 for $25. I'm big on that too. I'm not one of those people that either it's lobster and champagne or get out of my face. I'm not one of those. I've never been one of those. You know, and so far, I know a big issue for a lot of guys is the money thing too. Women are, not all, obviously, but some women are very, what are you going to do for me? I want lobster. I want champagne imported from Italy. If you can't do it, then be gone. Well, then guys, be gone, because you don't need that disrespect. You could be delivering pizza, the guy, he could be delivering pizza, but he's also planning on going to medical school. You know what I mean? So people are so judgmental, and they're just, because you're not where they think you should be, then they're out of there. Well, then let them go, because they're opening the door for someone good who's going to appreciate you. She's opening the door for your person when she does that.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And I think having a man over to make him dinner right away isn't good, because if he comes over, he's just going to want to get in our pants. Right. But I guess I was just thinking, if a man's taking a woman out to dinner, then it's nice if she brings him something or cooks something, and just to give some nurturing gestures towards the man, so it's not like he's doing everything. Like little things to show that she cares about him and isn't just taking advantage. And I think, like if they're going on a hike, she can bring the sandwiches if he cooked for dinner before. And so I think men need to screen for, is she doing something for me that shows that she's caring about me?
Is she considerate? Yeah, is she considerate that way? Yeah.
And then the other one that guys will often talk about is they'll throw down these statistics like 80% of women cheat, and women are all cheaters, and I don't want to get married, and they cheat on me, and it's all about them. And I'm like, where do they get that? I've never cheated on a guy. No.
I mean, I don't understand that either, these blanket statements. I don't get that. Some people are loyal. I'm not, I don't know. I'm not a date for entertainment type of person. I'm a relationship type of person. So that's just who I am. I prefer to be in a relationship. And when I give my heart, body, mind, and soul, it's yours unless you don't want it anymore for whatever reason, or you find somebody else more interesting. I may cry when you're gone, but hasta la vista. But I'm not going to. And if there's issues that make people want to step out, that's where and this is going to sound so cliche, but that's where communication has to come in. You know, I feel like we're distant. And you said something really important. I can't remember when it was, but it was recently. You said, this is a good thing to say in your relationship. You know, I miss when we were so hot for each other, and I miss when we were holding hands all the time, and I miss our closeness. Do you miss that too? And that's, again, that's a great thing to say, because you're not coming off like, listen, we haven't had this, and this, and I'm tired of it. That is the wrong communication. You know what I mean? Non-accusatory, non-threatening, shut the person down. Just say, I miss our closeness. There's been a shift in our closeness and I miss it. Or we're not communicating like we used to. Is there something on your mind? What's going on?
Yes. I feel that way too. Now, what would be a way that a man could tell? I think that you have better experience with people because you have such a wide social circle and you see more people and you're out more than I am with people.
Yeah.
And you might know this better. Like, how would a man know from the beginning if he's dealing with a woman who's going to just cheat on him? Because there are women who will, and women like you or me who are really like dedicated to that relationship. Like, if I would never want to cheat and ruin my relationship, and because and create drama, it creates drama and stress. So how would someone tell, or are there any signs or ways to tell?
I would say, even though women can tend to be a little more intuitive, I would also say for a guy, follow your gut. If something feels off, it could be off. So communicate with your partner. And there's going to be signs. Like, sometimes people will do things that they normally would not do. Like, all of a sudden they're working out in the gym, they're home a lot less, they're using perfume that they, their hair, everything. They can't leave the house without looking like a 10. Whereas before they never did that. Hiding their phone, you know what I mean? Having private conversations all the time. Here's one for either gender. You go in the bathroom and take a shower and you bring your phone. Why are you bringing your phone in the shower with you? I mean, that's kind of, potentially shady. So anything that looks a little off, follow your gut and communicate with your partner. I noticed that you usually wouldn't do this. Why are you doing this? Some people will stop having intimacy with their partner because they're having intimacy with someone else, or they're interested in someone else. You know what I mean? And it would be great if people would be honest and say, I think that our relationship has run its path and, I'm not feeling you like that. It'd be nice if they would be honest that way, but people are always honest. But there may be signs. The person may not communicate anymore. They may not share anymore. There's just a drastic, it'll start subtle and then it'll get gradually worse and worse and worse. But guys really have to communicate when they start seeing the signs, because if they don't, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. And then they're going to get blindsided when she leaves, or he comes home to an empty house, he's going to be blindsided. Meanwhile, there were subtle signs. So pay attention to what you feel and pay attention to what you see.
I wonder if these women who cheat also have a lie in general, because that would be such a hard. You'd have to wear such a mask. You'd have to be a person who comes home and wears a freaking mask in your own house, where you have to remember what lie you said, and in front of your kids and everything, and just live a life of a lie. It would just give me indigestion just thinking about it. My stomach's in knots. Yeah.
And if the person's, like I said, if they're hiding their phone, something's wrong. I mean, that's not good, And I can't tell you how many times, and you've talked about this too, how the guy may be oblivious, and then when she leaves, he's like, I don't understand why she's filing for divorce or why we're breaking up, because I thought we were happy. But, and here's another thing, and this is just, I don't know, this is just something that's really important to remember. I think a lot of guys have the mentality that I work hard, I put a roof over your head, you've got food in your stomach, and the bills are paid. My God, what else do you want? You know what I mean? Right? You want everything, but those are important things. Obviously, you have to have your bills paid, obviously. But there may be something else that she needs also. She needs more time with you, more, not necessarily sex, but romantic walks, or, we just sit and feed the birds in the park or whatever. We're letting life, our jobs, the children, everything is taking priority over us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so it's easy to get sucked into that. And again, it kind of bounces back to communication without being accusatory,
I I think
type of
that
deal.
for since the majority of women want sex in a relationship, unlike guys who will go off, there are some men who just go around and cheat. That's just what they do.
Right.
But
Right.
women don't generally do that. The women who cheat are doing it because they're emotionally neglected in the relationship. Or
Right.
maybe they married a guy that they were never really into
Mm-hmm.
because they liked him or they were good friends. I think that they are looking for an emotional affair is what's
Right.
happening. And I think that happens because the man has checked out of the marriage. Something wasn't going on. And you're right. I agree with you. He's got to pay attention.
Pay attention to the signs.
So yeah, so that's good. Now that was for the guys. Now I want to switch course and talk about the ladies. This is now going to be for the ladies. Red flags with men and experiences with men, and why so many women are single now and don't want a man or don't have a man, and why you and I are single.
Right.
Despite
Right.
wanting to be in a relationship, you and I are both single due to what's out there.
Right. Right.
Why are we single, Tranquility?
Well,
What are some?
one of the things that I noticed with the two people that I was not giving a chance to recently, you know, don't say everything that's in your head. You know what I'm saying? Like one guy said, I had my hair in a really long braid and I went on the float trip with him and other people. Well, all of us went together and he goes, I think your hair is a weave. That's probably a weave, right? Why is that necessary to say to a total stranger? I just don't get that. My hair isn't really any of your business, dude. Now, if I'm your woman and you want to say something like, oh, today you're Rapunzel, you got your hair down to your butt, you look sexy, that's a different story. But you don't tell somebody that. That's like a lack of manners. Shut your mouth. Everything in here doesn't need to come out of here. Now, I will give him props, though. I was in my swimsuit and he never once said anything about my body. And you're not wearing a whole lot of clothes. So I was glad about that. You know, I was happy about that because normally they focus on the tatas, you know, hey, how you doing? My face is up here, man. You know, come on. So I am grateful for that. But I think that, and I don't have anything against all men because of those two guys were jerks, but when you reach a certain part of your emotional healing, you can see the emotional bruises of other people that are not healed yet. And they make those obvious by their lack of concern and their lack of whatever. And it's like, yeah, so I went from a 20-year marriage where everything went wrong because he was a narcissist to I'll get rid of you before the first date because the way you're approaching or the way you ask me out and then you ignore me, something about you is off. And I'm going to listen to that, you know, and that's for men. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to listen, not focus, but I'm going to listen to that. Something in my body, and you've talked about this before, something in my body doesn't feel right when I'm in your presence. And I mean, this is going to sound bad, but there's times that I had a date set up with someone that I talked to online and I wasn't looking forward to the date at all. I wanted to wiggle out of it so bad because it just didn't feel right in my body. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
It didn't feel good. So I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna do this. You know?
Now, tell me about these unhealed things like what I mean, I guess we can't really analyze them. I always try to analyze people. Oh, this person has no boundaries, or this person never learned about boundaries, or no wonder this person is single. His wife probably dumped him, or you know?
Well, some of the things that I noticed, well, they'll even tell you, like the guy I went on the float trip with, he was just angry and bitter and I'm never getting married again. I did it twice and I'm never doing it again. You know, and he said something that was really alarming. He said, the devil doesn't like me because he's afraid I'm going to take over.
The devil?
The devil doesn't like me because he's afraid I'm going to take over. Good people don't say that. Nice people don't say that. They don't put themselves and the devil in the same sentence. It's just weird and creepy. So I was like, yeah, I'm bowing out of this one. I'm out. What a weirdo.
I really admire that you keep I've watched your videos for some time, and you have dating experiences that you share, and I admire so much that you, and we'll get later into your marriages and all that, but that you were married a few times and you still like men, you still want to date them, and you're so kind to them. And yet they're so, and you weed them out very quickly. It's not like you get into these unhealthy relationships. However, there's so many unhealthy behaviors that you're coming across. And I wonder if you might want to share any of those.
Well, God, this is really important, really important. You know, guys are obviously visual. So when they see something, they're like, hot damn. You know, that looks like pork chop with gravy and salad on the side. Damn, girl, damn. I mean, chill. Just be polite. You look nice. You look really pretty. I like that dress. That blue looks, you know, shows the blue in your eyes or whatever. Be polite, because you don't know what this person's been through. You don't know what's a trigger for them. You know what I'm saying? You don't know, even if you have a good heart and good intentions, you may say something, try to be funny, but that's a trigger. And she never wants to see you again. You know what I mean? And that's for either gender. Just chill. Just be on your best behavior. If you wouldn't say it in church, don't say it.
That's good advice.
Or if you wouldn't say it in front of your grandma, don't say it. I mean, you know what I mean? You got to feel the person.
So when you're in the dating app, like, I'm not even on dating apps anymore. I just don't have the patience for it. I just get too pissed off. I can't do it. But you're on the dating apps and you're specifically saying relationship. And a lot of these guys just want to get laid. And I'm assuming what age range now? Now, most of the dating videos and so on that I see on YouTube, it's mostly the younger people making them, people in their 20s and 30s. There is not enough content for people over 50, in my opinion. And I think we're, you know, a little bit of a different bracket. Like, we grew up before we you know, were glued to our phones. And there are fewer single people our age, because people usually get married in their 20s or early 30s. They're married. And then after that, the only single people are the lifelong singles or the divorced or widowed people. There are not that many. And a lot of the divorced people are divorced for a reason. A lot of the single people are single for a reason, because they are avoidant. They're not good with relationships. I'm going to include in that the incels, the men that have given up, like people who don't have good social skills. And so the reason that I'm single is I haven't found anybody around my age with good social skills that I'm interested in. I just don't even know where they are. I think there are just very few people like that even exist.
I agree.
So that's what I come across. And that's what I think married people should know if they're watching this. It's like, it's not that great out there if you're looking for a relationship. And then these guys that go along saying, I'll never get married. It's like, well, I'm never going to fuck you. Like, why would I go out with a guy, you know, who's laying it on the table that I'm so disenchanted with women, I'm so sour on a long-term committed relationship that I'm never going to get married. Okay, I'm glad to know this. You know, there's the door.
Yeah, there's the door.
Why
in other words,
even want to?
We could go through wifely things. We could have sex like we're married, and you could cook for me, and, you know, we could hold hands, and I could waste a lot of your time for years, but don't think it's going to ever end in a serious relationship as a marriage, because I've been burnt by 2 marriages. Well, honey, you don't need to be looking for a partner. You need to be looking for a therapist. That's okay. You need to be looking for a therapist. And it's kind of like, you know, you want to improve your appearance. You want to work out in the gym. You want to eat more vegetables and all this. Well, mental health is important too. Mental health is very important. And if you ignore that, you're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. And then you're going to be mad at that gender, and you're going to come up with these imaginary statistics. 80% of women cheat. Where did you get that statistic from? That's silly. That is not true. That's not true.
Some men will also say, I'm never going to date, I'm never getting into a relationship or getting married because women are fucking for free. And a lot of them are. And what I always say, I have two things to say to these guys. One is the high quality women like Tranquility, like you or like me, we don't hook up.
Right.
There's a small percentage of women who are just hookup types. They want their dick appointment and then they want to go home, or traumatized women, or attention-seeking women, or they're just trying to get something from you. And then the other thing that these guys should know is that single people get the least sex of everyone. A man who wants a lot of sex, his best strategy is to get into a relationship. Because single people, it's very hard to get sex as a single person. Even me as a woman, when I was online looking for sex, it was so difficult to get. And it's even more of a challenge for men. They've got to court a woman and pursue a woman. And then she's going to go, where is this going? Is this going anywhere? Like it's not a fulfilling strategy for a man who has any depth to him. So I don't get this whole thing of, I don't know what these guys are doing that are in their 50s and 60s or 40s that are single, because they all want sex, but I don't know how they're going to get it if they're avoiding marriage.
Right. And here's another thing too, and this goes for both genders. Let's just talk about for the men, because they do have a high sex drive, and a lot of them are, you know, tapping booties left and right and having a blast doing it. And that's fine. Get that out of your system before you say you want a relationship, because you're saying you want that, but do you really want that? Can you be loyal? Can you be faithful? Do you still have the desire to tap booties? Because if you other booties, then you shouldn't be in a relationship. Can you be monogamous? You know, are those days over? And some guys made the decision that, hey, I was a player back in the day. I've heard them tell me this, you know, they'll be more honest when they're not dating you. But, you know, a couple of my guy friends were like, hey, I was a dog. I ain't gonna lie. I was a player. But since I found my wife or my fiance, there's something about her. She stole my heart and I can't explain it, but I want to be with her forever. You know what I mean? So no one's going to condemn a person for doing their thing, but make sure that if you say you want a relationship, you truly can handle having a monogamous, loyal, faithful relationship with somebody. Because if your heart's not in it, or it's only in it for like a day or two, that's not going to work. You know, get that all out of your system. Party, drink, have fun with people, do whatever the heck you need to do. Get it out. Because you're going to be expected to step up your game when you get in a serious relationship with someone. Are you sure you're ready for that?
Yeah, and a relationship requires a set of skills that few of us have, that I'm still learning, relational skills, because our partners are going to trigger us a lot, and we have to be able to not be reactive, and we have to be able to repair, because a lot of times people will feel rejected, and they have to learn, you can't just go off on someone. You have to learn to put the relationship as a priority. And anyway, so yeah, my problem is, on a personal note, my problem is I find men in their 40s the most attractive, 40s or early 50s. And realistically, someone of that age is not going to want a serious relationship with a 60-year-old woman. So I'm kind of facing the prospect of I'll be single forever. I don't think I need therapy to go over this. What I find, and if guys are listening, what I find unattractive about men my age is they're lacking kind of the, I don't know, the it
factor.
Yeah, it's the passion about life. Yeah. It's the outlook. It's the energy. Right. But even when they're walking at the gym and they're all rigid and tight and stressed, like, it's not attractive, because I'm really into energy and how people move and their flow. And a lot of people lose that as they get older. Not all.
Now, how do you explain that? How do you explain that? That's I've noticed that too. Some people are like super, super rigid in their body stance. And it basically says, don't get too close to me. Don't get too close to me. Because I talked to a guy at a restaurant. I want to know why you think this is happening. I talked to a guy in a restaurant. I wasn't all over him. I wasn't like, oh, baby. You know, I was just having a normal conversation. Where do you live? Where are you from? What do you like to do in your free time? And his body was like a metal rod. It was rigid as hell. And I'm like, he's almost acting like he has to guard himself against me. Dude, I didn't ask you to give me a baby or marry me. I'm just having a conversation. So why do you think that's happening?
Yeah, maybe it is something emotional in them. I don't
But
know.
don't get too close.
Stress,
Don't get too close to me.
yeah, or stress or something. It's not attractive. I like somebody who moves easily and who's happy. And
Yeah.
you know, I took a lesson of something. I took a pickleball lesson recently, and my instructor was like this very vibrant elderly man, and he was playing pretty rough, showing me some things. And I said, I think this is too high level. I think if I do play in a league, I need to play with some people over 70. And he just looked down at me. He's this tall guy. And he goes, I'm over 70. And I was shocked because he was very fit and he was very athletic and he taught all the classes. And he was very happy and very social. I think he's married, but there are people like that, and
of course he's married.
Yeah. But a lot of these people that are older that keep, and I've met men in their 70s through my work. If they keep their passion for something, their work or something like that, a social net. Yeah. And they keep exercising and they eat well. Yeah. And they're happy. They can be, but I still like the 40-year-olds better. I like the beards. I think it's the animal in me, you know, that's like, oh my God, you look good. You look like, you know, your beard, you look strong and healthy. And I just find it very attractive. So that's my problem. That's why I'm single, but I don't know if I need therapy or if that's just my preference.
I like younger guys too. I know of a couple that we used to be really tight. They live out of town now, and I think there's like a 10-year difference between them. She's 10 years older than him. I'm sure there's people that's even more of an age gap. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You just never know. You just never know what could happen for you.
You just never know. I definitely think that I'm a better person now than I was 10 years ago or 20 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I mean, I'm older, so.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think what the guys need to learn is that when you come at women with that attitude of, I'm never going to get married, you know, all women are cheaters, all women just are selfish bitches. It doesn't make you attractive because not all women are that way. And to kind of get whole on you, you know, how do you feel about women? And I'm going to bring up your mom, guys, how you have to heal your relationship with your mother. That's the first woman who loved you. And if you hate all women and see all women as cheaters, I will bet you $100 right now. Email me $100 that your mom didn't love you. You were the first woman who betrayed you was your mother. And so you go around the world thinking women don't like me because men who were loved by their mothers never think that. And because they don't think that, they attract really wonderful women.
Right. Women can feel that. We can feel that energy. Like there's a emotional force field around your body. And we can feel that before you even open your mouth. We can feel that your face smiles, but your energy isn't matching. You know what I mean? Like he's trying to get lucky with you, so he's going to smile and say, hey, you look really nice. Hey, how you doing? But his energy doesn't feel right. So there's no shortcut to getting better with the relationship with the mother. He's going to have to go to therapy. There's just no way around it. And there's no shortcut to therapy. It's not like riding your bike where you could shoot down this little alley and get there quicker. You have to do the hard work, and you have to be willing to do the hard work, because the people that are supposed to protect you and love you and nurture you, if they don't, that can leave permanent scars.
Mhm.
And that's not a bad thing towards the kid. That's just reality. And I've been through that. So, and yes, I've been to therapy a few times, and it's good for you. And you're not going to be good for someone else if you can't get better for yourself.
And I think a lot of men don't realize that if they go through this therapy and heal their relationship towards women, that
Right.
being in a good relationship can make your life so much better. I was listening to Michaela Peterson today, Jordan Peterson's daughter. She had a YouTube short, and she was talking about since she got married, and I think she's 32, it's her second marriage. She has a 5-year-old daughter. She just got married a few months ago. Since she got married, she's so much more productive, and she says 10 times better at her job. So is her husband. And I see my son and his wife, and they're actually the only people I know in a happy relationship, which makes me think a relationship can be happy. But I think for the majority of people, they're not happy. And I see their relationship and all the things she does for him and the things he does for her that make each of their lives so much better than if they were living alone. And so when all these men go MGTOW, and I'm like, I'm going WGTOW, women going their own way, because someone being single is not as good as being in a great relationship, but being in a bad relationship will make your life really worse. It's better to be none at all. And I think what we need are more people that are healed so that they can be in good relationships, and more people to put away their phones, because we as people thrive in social networks. And one thing I've been trying to do is get out of the house more and not be on my phone all the time.
Right.
Because, one thing that these big media companies want, they want us on their phones. Facebook has the metaverse.
Oh, yeah. Right.
They want the guys on porn and video games and all these online things. That's how they make their money. And they're not going to make money if you're out socializing, meeting women in real life. So all the apps, the dating apps and the video games and the stuff on the phone is making us towards a robotic future. And there are a lot of people investing billions of dollars in this endeavor. And we are just silently being sucked down the drain. Now they're even saying that women are men and men are women, and they're trying to remove us from nature and our biology and merge us into one. And all of these guys saying, I will never get married, are just feeding into this. Instead of saying we stand for relationships. And I mean, I want a relationship so I can have good sex. And there is no man out there who's taken me up on offering me a relationship and getting fucked every day. They're all out there sorry for themselves that women are bad cheaters,
Right.
Open your eyes, people.
Yeah. And, that's so true. The social media thing, that is the reason why they put cookies on your devices, because they find out what you're interested in, and that pops up constantly so that you get sucked deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh, you like running shoes. Every time you turn around, there's an ad on your phone for running shoes. And it gets to the point where we're no longer social. And what's even worse is we're fearful. Someone wants to have a video with you to get to know you before, we're not going to go on a date until whenever, but maybe I'd like to see your face. Oh, I don't feel comfortable doing that. Why not? What's the problem? You're going to see this person in person, so what's the problem? They're fearful. So many guys on the so-called dating sites, they're terrified to even have a phone call. They don't even want to get on the phone. What is going on with you? It's just weird. I think a lot of them, because they're socially inept, the social media is the only place they feel comfortable, and they can fall into this fantasy world of she's beautiful, and then they go into this fantasy of what if she's my woman, and but it stays a fantasy because he doesn't have the desire to make it real because he's fearful and he's addicted to social media too. You know?
I
So
could see that.
it's kind of toxic and poisonous. Put your phone away. Put your phone away. If you're going to ask somebody out, be serious about it. Or don't play games. That's another thing. I went through that too. They're not serious about asking you out. When I was on the dating site real heavily, multiple guys would ask me out and then disappear because they just needed an ego stroke. They just needed to know that someone found them attractive enough to want to go out with them.
I read a statistic recently that 1/3 of the men on the dating apps are married.
Yeah, I think it's higher than that.
And they just want the validation. Yeah, they want the validation.
Just want the validation.
But I love the thing that you said. Sometimes you don't call it a dating site. You call it a mating site.
That's right.
Because the guys are on there just looking for hookups. A lot of them.
They're just wanting to hook up. And there's got to be sites for that. I mean, come on, people. You know, and one guy said, I will never forget that. This was like weird. The guy, I let him talk. I'm just going to let you talk and talk because eventually you're going to hang yourself. So he's talking all this sexy stuff, which is inappropriate. I haven't even met you in person yet, but I'm just going to let you go there because you're doing a good job screwing your own self up. And he said something about, well, if we got involved and did something sexually, there's a chance I might not get off. And then remember what you told me? Some men are so used to masturbating that a woman's real body in the flesh, he can't respond to that because he's used to his own touch.
Mm-hmm.
That's toxic too. You shouldn't be romancing yourself. You should be romancing your partner. It's weird. It's just weird.
Yeah, that's the other thing for guys who watch a lot of porn. They get so used to their own hand that they don't even know how to interact with the real woman. And they don't even know how to, I mean, because there's no woman's mouth or vagina that's as tight as their own hand or as familiar as their own hand. So we're setting ourselves up for the downfall of society, I think, with all of this being on the phones and not wanting to get into relationships. I worry for the future of our society. I hope that this is just a temporary blip. You know, because now women make their own money and they're saying, I don't need a man, so do I want you? Like, we're more choosy about our relationships. But I'm surprised that so many men are coming up short in this endeavor.
Yeah, and then another thing you said, another thing that women have got to stop doing too, men like to feel, real men, okay? Let's put that caveat out there, real men. They want to feel needed. They don't need to hear you say, I don't need no man, and I raised my kids by myself. I fixed the faucet when it's broke. I don't need a man. Well, then stay single. Stay single. Your mouth is going to keep your body single. Stop this. Stop that. You know what I mean? Men want to feel needed. And if he goes out of his way for you, he wants you to appreciate it. It makes me cringe when women are brutal to men and it shuts them down, and they can pick good men like sharks can find blood in the water, and they will destroy those men. So by the time we meet them, we don't have a snowball's chance in hell because he gave his heart one time and that was enough. She squashed him like a bug and that was enough. And that's really sad to see too.
That is really sad to see. However, I think everybody who went through a breakup was hurt, unless they're the ones that did the breaking up. So, you know, I think we're all responsible, and that goes to the rigidity. Like, in order for one thing that I always work on is like, I don't want to carry my past into my future. It took me many, many years to stop feeling like a victim from my divorce. Like, it took me so freaking long, and I finally got over it and was able to leave it in the past. I think I was just stuck feeling sorry for myself. And it was horrible, you know. It took me really long. It took me like 8 years, I'm embarrassed to say. But we have to be able to get to the point where we make peace with the past and live and are able to live in today and look forward to live in the moment and look forward to the future and enjoy our lives without hanging on to the pain. And that can take a really long time.
Yeah.
I don't think that people who haven't finished that job should be are good dating candidates, because I don't want to date some guy who's still angry at his ex-wife or crying
Oh,
about his ex-wife. Like,
right,
I'm
right.
glad that you have some good feelings about her, but you've got to be able to process that. And a lot of people haven't. And then they're carrying all that stuff around with them and letting it. It's not just about letting it go. Sometimes people have to, I don't know, it's just a tangled web of things to go through.
Right. And it's not appropriate to talk about that on a first date. Let me tell you how much of a bitch my ex-wife was. My God, she's a bitch. You know, I mean, yo, man, chill. We don't want to hear that. We want you in the here and now. But the healing has to take precedence over the desire for a relationship. You got to have a relationship with yourself first. You're no good to someone else unless you get straight up here and you have a love and respect for yourself.
And you like your own company.
You have to enjoy your own company. You have to respect yourself. You cannot love or respect someone else when you can't even love and respect yourself. And we've all been hurt. We've all been, unless you're doing the hurting, then you're getting off on destroying other people. But if you're a normal person, you've been burnt. And you don't want to go into that dangerous, bottomless pit of, I might do this. I guarantee you all men are this way or all women are this way. I know that for a fact because I've been through it. No, you don't know that for a fact. Unless you've interviewed every person on the planet, you can't make that blanket statement. So that healing has to take place. And for guys that have, or men or women, but I'm talking about guys right now, for men who are terrified of women because they were burnt in their marriage or they got had on child support or whatever it is, or she broke his heart, they were high school sweethearts and everything crashed and burned, she ran off with someone else or whatever the emotional agony is, he can start to have non-threatening relationships with women, as in female friendships. Start there. And then you will learn, if you guys are good friends, you will learn that all women are not vicious because your female friend is not vicious, or your couple of, you know, whatever. Your sisters are not vicious. Your female cousins are not vicious. You know, your female friends are not all out to get you, you know? So I would say start off with friendship, but there's no escaping the self-accountability, which I commend you for, because you and I hold ourselves responsible. Even on a daily basis, there's times that I snap on my friend. Sometimes I want to knock him out, but besides the point, there's times I snap on him and that was totally uncalled for. And I ask myself, what the hell is my problem? You know, and it could be that I haven't eaten that day. And don't laugh, because I know you're thinking about the commercial with the Snickers. How's that go? You're not yourself when you're hungry or something. I don't know. But anyway, do you ever see that commercial?
I don't have a TV. I don't see TV.
Oh, the person's basically a monster until they eat a Snickers bar. So you're like a monster because you haven't eaten that day. And I've done that because I'll snap and I'm like, well, wow, that was mean. Why did I do that? You know? So we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we behave. What are you contributing to your life? What are you contributing to your friends' lives? What are you contributing to your relationships? While you're on this page of all men are bad and all women are bad, what have you held yourself accountable for how you treat other people? And if you don't, you know, acknowledge what's going on in here, you're going to continue to repeat the same cycles. Now you're an incel, you know, and women can feel that toxicity and they're like, no, dude, no. Now I talked to this guy a long time ago online, and
just a moment, I want to grab a sweater because my air conditioner is freezing me out.
Okay. Yay, she's back. Oh, no, she's not.
Woo.
I told Shahrazad she's cute because she's really small. She's like, what are you, 5'1"?
And I'm
you
5'2",
5'3"?
5'2.5".
Oh, Lord. Wow. You're so cute. But yeah, we have to hold ourselves accountable for how we treat others, and we have to, and that's, for me, it's a daily thing on a daily basis. We have to hold ourselves accountable for what we say, what we do, how we react to people, you know. But yeah, if people have been burnt, you've got to work through that with therapy or a support group or whatever. You just have to work through that. Otherwise, like I've said before, you're packing all that drama in your suitcase, and it goes with you with every relationship, and it poisons every relationship you have. And that just reinforces that all people are bad, when in reality, you've got some unresolved business.
Yeah, because some people are attracting the men the men that say every woman cheats on me, or the women that say every man cheats on me, they're attracting that, because I've never had a guy cheat on me. My belief is if a guy's really into me, he's not going to cheat on me. I have that strong belief.
Right.
And I think I can tell if they're really into me. But yeah, so what the thing I had to work on was making sure that I didn't eliminate men who showed their feelings, because I used to think that was a sign of weakness, because my dad didn't show his feelings. So now I got that part right.
Oh.
Yeah, because I was like, that isn't manly. These guys have too many feelings. That's not manly, you know?
So when did you realize that? When did you make the connection?
Well, after I got divorced, I decided I would no longer be with some guy who didn't like my feelings and who didn't care how I felt. And I
Right,
had to
right.
start thinking about, you know, I don't want somebody who's all gushy like a woman, but he's got to have some empathy and some feelings.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyway, I would like to segue over to ask you a little bit about to what extent you want to share. We talked a lot about therapy and healing, and I know that you've
Yeah.
done therapy and healing. And so
Right.
this is going to be very helpful for all the people who say, all people are this and all people are that, and I'm just stuck with the way I am. And it is not true, because people can transform themselves regardless of what their childhood was like or their life was like. And you're such a good example of that.
Yeah.
So you have the floor, Tranquility.
Okay. So I want, for those of you that, and it's not the easiest thing to talk about, but it's the reality. Not every parent loves their kids. That's just the reality. And so that is so painful, and that can carry into your adult life. And you start choosing people that are just like your parents. I've done it. And until I realized that everybody I'm choosing is just like my father. And both my parents are narcissists. And you subconsciously choose people that are just like them, you know? But I don't want people to take that personally. Like, you know, I wasn't loved. It must be me. Maybe I'm ugly. Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm not going to amount to anything. That's what they've always told me. Your parents' behavior is more of a reflection of them than it is you. That is their hang up. Not everybody who's biologically able to have children is going to be a good parent, you know, and society is in denial about that, because how many mothers are not good mothers, but the court still wants to award, you know, to her, and she's an alcoholic. Well, she's the mother of the kids, right? But she's an alcoholic. Hello. So not every parent is good. So you're going through a phase like when you're going through that abuse as a child. Think of yourself as a caterpillar. You don't look the greatest. You're not in the best place right now in life. But as you become an adult, you will realize that I loved my parents unconditionally, but they never loved me. And I also recommend, and this is so powerful, I can't even talk about how powerful this is. I wrote a love letter to myself as if I'm outside of myself looking in, and telling myself the things that the parents should have said. That is so powerful. I couldn't read it without tears in my eyes. You're giving yourself the love that you never got. And that's what you have to do, whether you're with sick parents or twisted marriage or whatever it is, where you were not giving the love that you should have gotten, and you should have gotten it. You have to give it to yourself, and writing a love note to yourself in conjunction with therapy. There's so many things that are therapeutic that are so powerful, like a list of all the things that you could think of that were just horrific. And cussing is allowed. You could say whatever you want to say, and you just write it on paper, and then you burn the paper. That's powerful, because it gets that hatred, and you're never going to amount to anything. You're just a big fat zero. You're just like your father. You're just like your mother. instead of it swirling around in your head endlessly, when you write it down and burn it, it gives it an escape route. It gets out of here and you let it go. And that's something you could do before you go to therapy, while you're in therapy or whatever. It's powerful. And writing a love note to yourself, like, hey, you are beautiful. You are worthy to be loved. You were a great soccer player. You had wonderful grades in school. You have a best friend that you grew up with. You're still friends to this day. So obviously you're not as terrible as people say you are. You're beautiful. You're handsome. You know, a love letter is so, I'm not kidding. When I did it on my channel a long time ago, and as I read it, I had tears. I'm like, you know, but it's powerful. And just because you weren't loved doesn't mean you weren't worthy of love. So you go from a caterpillar, well, I don't know what the original stage is, but then you go from that, the pupa, to the caterpillar. You stay in that phase, and then you eventually through time turn, you know, grow into this gorgeous, graceful, beautiful butterfly. And that is where, that's the goal. But it's got to start with healing, and it's got to start with writing a love note to yourself, surrounding yourself with people who confirm who you are, people that say, hey, I miss you. What's going on with you? I know your birthday's coming up. What do you want to do for your birthday? People, surround yourself with healthier people, the opposite of how you grew up, because that's also healing in itself. That alone is healing.
So your parents were very abusive. Do you want to give like any examples or generalities about what they did, just so people kind of get an idea that it was rough?
Yeah.
Or you don't have to.
No, we're all adults here. I mean, I'm a little over 18. Just a little bit. Both my parents are narcissistic. My mother never wanted a girl. Babies can't choose their gender. It's just one of those things, right? So I was always isolated from my brothers. She gave them special treatment. You know, they got to go to the movies and have pizza and movie nights and everything. And I was always just there. So either I was being ignored or I was being brutally, verbally abused. You're just like your father. I can't tell you how many times I heard that, which I'm not like him. He's a narcissist, and I'm not a narcissist. So there goes that theory. But you're never going to amount to anything and all this other BS. And then, so if it wasn't being ignored or verbal abuse, it was physical abuse, to where I went to school with a black eye. I've had my arm yanked behind my back so viciously, I thought my shoulder was going to disconnect. She hated that I was a girl. Absolutely hated it. And it was nothing I did. My grandmother told me, which blows my mind, and why my grandma told me, I don't know why she felt the need to tell me this, but my grandmother said that your mother called you a bitch when you were a baby in the crib. So it wasn't anything I did. She never wanted a girl, which is, she's a woman, right? So that to me is a form of self-hatred. Yeah. You're a woman and you hate another female. That makes no sense. So it's a form of self-hatred. So I don't know. I guess there was so much violence in the home. And to be quite honest with you, I look at myself to this day and it's a miracle that I even survived it, honestly, you know, because that type of thing can make a person go into drugs and alcohol and become suicidal and criminal behavior. It just doesn't result in positive things. So I consider myself a miracle that I didn't fall into any of those typical traps, you know, breaking the law and having an attitude about it. Like, well, nobody loved me anyway, so I'm gonna do what the hell I want to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's what a lot of people will do. Yeah,
right. Feel justified.
So then, before you start your therapy, you were just going on autopilot, which is what people will get into relationships with someone who treats them the same way they were treated as a child, or they will act the way that they saw their parents interacting, like it's all unhealthy stuff.
Right, right.
And but we don't know it, because all we know is how we were treated. Anything else would feel foreign or unfamiliar, and the mind goes for a comfort zone. That's all we know. So your father was a narcissist, and I didn't even hear you talk about your dad, but whatever he did, you were attracted to men who treated, were you attracted to men who treated you like your dad treated you, or who you treated you like he treated your mother, or like what was the pattern? And then how did you, what was your pattern? And then what was it like for you? And then later we'll talk about the therapy. Like, what was it like being in those relationships? Yeah. And then how did you end up going to therapy or getting help?
Well, his idea of being a father, first of all, let's just keep it real. He was a cheater. He was a chronic cheater, just like narcissists tend to be. So they argued all night long. I don't know how many times when I had school the next morning, because he came home with lipstick on his shirt and other women's perfume on his clothes and phone numbers in his pocket. I can't even talk about how many times that happened. He felt entitled. If I want other people, yes, I'm married to you, but whatever. That's besides the point. She looks pretty good, and I think I want a piece of that. So it's just dysfunction. But he had absolutely zero idea how to be a father. He was never around because he was hoeing around, and he would never stop doing that. Okay. But also, I noticed when I was older, not at the time, I was so scared of him and so intimidated by him. He was a drill sergeant. So his idea of being a father is cracking the rules. You're going to do what I told you to do, and that's only a tiny percentage of being a parent. But that was his whole definition of being a parent. I'm going to always smack the rules down. And I wasn't a bad kid. So there's no reason to do that to me. I wasn't a bad kid. When I became an adult, I realized when he had prostate cancer, and I still had, daughter daddy worship thing. Something's on my screen. Okay. I had the daddy daughter worship thing. I mean, I wanted to be anywhere he was, and it didn't matter where he went. I wanted to be there. But I carried that into adulthood, my idealization of him. And then he got prostate cancer. And they told him, that the medical professionals told him, if your body doesn't respond to this treatment, the cancer could spread to your bones, your bone marrow, and there's nothing else we could do at that point. The only thing he was concerned about is, well, will I be able to sustain erections? Because he was a constant cheater, which requires you to have a boner, And I'm thinking, well, dummy, I don't say it because I'll get killed, but if you die, it won't matter if you can't sustain an erection. I mean, his priorities are just really weird. But when I realized that the love that I had for him, he would never have that love for me, that's when I cut him off. I was done. I was done. You're out. You're done. That's it. I'm done. My first marriage, my husband told me, you've got an anger problem. And I said, excuse me? Are you saying I'm crazy? Which is verified. You try to call me crazy and then you act crazy. So what he's saying is the truth. You got an anger problem and you need to go to therapy. And I argued and screamed and, but he was absolutely right. You don't want to admit it at the time because you want to defend yourself, right? I think we all want to defend to a certain degree. Excuse me, don't talk to me like that, But then later you think about it and you look at your behavior and you're like, you look at all the times you flipped out when you shouldn't have. And through that marriage, I finally got into some therapy because he was with the Air Force. So I could get therapy at no cost. And so I took advantage of that. And it took me a while to get there. You know what I mean? Probably years. But I finally was tired of, I don't know. I knew I had issues. So I finally took my butt over there. And I'll never forget him. He was an officer with the Air Force. And he said, we need to talk about your mother. And I was like, I was twisted and turning in my chair, crossed my legs this way, crossed my legs that way. Like I had ants in my pants or something. I said, I don't want to talk about her. He said, all the more reason why we need to talk about her. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I was pissed at him. I was pissed. But again, there's no shortcut. You got to go to emotional bullseye and you got to hit it head on. And you're not going to like it. You're going to be mad at your therapist. You're going to think to yourself, that's a bunch of bullshit. When in reality, it's not a bunch of bullshit. This person has college education. They know what they're talking about. And it's a process. It takes time to heal. It's not going to be one session. It may be multiple sessions. It may be a whole bunch of sessions, depending on what you've been through. But I'm so glad I did it. And any time in my life that I felt stuck, I've gone to therapy again. I haven't seen him. I wish I did because he's spectacular. But I also had some civilian therapists that were wonderful. And you have, and for people who've been through a traumatic background, you may have this, because I went through this, right? You think to yourself, I can't tell them this horrible thing that happened to me, or these horrible things, multiple horrible things that happened to me. I can't tell them because they're going to freak out. Their jaw's going to fall open. They're going to fall out of the chair or go, you know, and they don't do that. They don't. They've heard it all. There's nothing you could say that's going to freak them out. So in your mind, you're scared to tell them. But when you do tell them and they don't react the way you think they were going to react, you're like, oh, okay. Oh, wow. Oh, I could breathe now. You know what I mean?
Do you like it when the therapist like has some emotion around it, like feel sad also, or you like, what was so about the response that was so healing for you?
I don't know. They were warm, kind, really caring. They have that counselor voice. So how did that make you feel? Tell me how that made you feel. You know, one of them, I think they didn't really get emotional. I think one of them did because my father used to beat me without my clothes on. And so he's watching my body develop as a teenager. I'm a young woman. My body is developing into a young woman, and I don't have a lot of clothes on, and he's inflicting pain on me. And it took me a really long time to realize that that has elements of S&M. Took me a long time. So I was finally talking to a female therapist about it, and it was the end of our session, and the shame and embarrassment is so tall and so big. It's so hard to get the words out. And I finally, it's like a volcano that just builds and builds and builds. And I finally blurted it out. And I felt like with the intensity of the emotion that my face was probably red like a cooked lobster, because it was just all of it just releasing it. And I couldn't look at her, and I was fighting tears. And she said, I want you to go to a support group for women who have been sexually abused. And that was pretty deep. Yeah, that was really deep. And when you're sitting in this room with all these women, you realize that I'm not alone. This is common. And another common thread is for like people who have been molested or something along those lines. Other family members will know about it, but won't say anything, and they'll pretend they don't see it. That's a common thread too.
And that's a double betrayal. That's a betrayal.
Yeah.
They're protecting the perpetrator, which is even worse than.
Yeah. Or they'll say to the kids or the grandkids, you know, Uncle Frank is weird, right? So y'all just leave him alone. You know? Yeah. So.
Yeah. So that was in your first marriage. So you had some really good therapy. And what were the things in the therapy, like if you want to give people like that have never been to therapy, that are so scared about it or don't even know what it would involve? Do you sit there and talk? Do you do exercises? Or the people, you said that people were nice and accepting. I've heard you say before, if you don't get along with one therapist, keep looking. Like what are some of the things that that happened? Their accepting nature, their calm voice.
Right.
that they could handle whatever thing you brought to them. They were like, oh, how did that make you feel? Like
Right.
there was a stability in their response, maybe, or an acceptance of you, and knowing where to guide you, like they had you or something, like they could handle whatever you brought to them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I wonder if there were like certain things that you did, or any else you want to share that was like meaningful turning points.
One of the things that's super powerful in the women's group was we all had you pulled a name out of the hat, and that is the person that you say good things about, and you say multiple good things about them, and that person's not allowed to diminish those positive things. Like I'll pretend I drew your name. So if I say, you've got a great smile, your hair looks beautiful, you're not allowed to say, it does, I haven't washed it since yesterday. You're not allowed, you're not allowed to diminish the positivity. You have to sit there and take it. And that is really, really hard to do. You would think, oh, well, your parents were abusive, you should soak that up. It doesn't work like that. There's like, I don't know, it does something to your spirit to be treated that way. So when someone's doing the opposite, it feels weird.
Yeah, you don't believe them.
It's just, you want to counter it with something else. Like, oh, it's a beautiful shirt. Oh, this old thing. And I think a lot of people do that, probably because they're shy or embarrassed when they get a compliment. So to sit there and have to do this, zip it, and just let that person love on you verbally, it's not easy. And I was trying to counter, and he's like, you're not allowed to say anything. And I'm like, you're not allowed to say anything. Continue. And then that person continues saying whatever about me. So it's just weird. It feels good, but it's weird.
And then did that make you be able to take compliments after that?
I think I'm better now, but sometimes I feel shy. Because I don't know, I got a big mouth. Let's just keep it real. I'm loud and I'm obnoxious and I got a big mouth. But when I don't know you, I'm shy. So I remember one time I went to the post office and I was all decked out, my hair and makeup, everything was on point, and the lady started helping me, and then she stopped and she looked up and she goes, you look beautiful today. And I was like, oh, thank you. It's like you feel shy.
Yeah, that's great.
So yeah, we need to not counter with something negative. Counter it. So we need to say thank you and just leave it at that. Yeah.
And so, I want to just go for a few more minutes and then wrap up our interview, because it's like gone on, like it's a good long interview. How did you had this therapy in your first marriage, and then I think you said you got married again. Was he also a narcissist? Like, was he? Did you also change how you selected men, or did you still have some patterns there from before?
I still had patterns. In fact, the second one was worse than the first one. And
now,
I had been to therapy.
Why is that? Even though you went to therapy, like how is that?
Because I think a lot of times we choose people because they chose us. And I was sucked into that too. Someone's attracted to you, so you go for it. And of course, they don't reveal who they really are anyway. They don't let you know, hey, by the way, I'm a narcissist. Nice to meet you. Let's go out sometime.
Oh, because you didn't really know what to look for.
I didn't know.
You didn't really have the experience of like dating and knowing what to look for.
And he was so opposite of how he truly is for at least 2 years.
2 years?
2 years. He was generous with money. He's not. He's extremely selfish with money, but he was very generous. He was very kind. He was very warm. There were some signs, because his previous marriage was dysfunctional as hell. And sometimes he would get real hateful and I'd get real hateful back. I'm like, I don't know what you used to in your previous marriage, but you better watch your dang mouth talking to me like that. So then I would just, but because I can be hateful. I mean, enough is enough. Enough is enough. But he was the total opposite for 2 years. And then he just started, I don't know, I started seeing, I didn't even know about narcissism back then. I thought he was just an ass. I didn't know. So if I had the knowledge now, if I knew everything I know now and I had met him, he wouldn't have lasted more than one day.
Yeah, because now you're very good, because we talk often and you're very good at picking them out right away. Because as much as you want a relationship and you put yourself out there on the dating apps and in social situations, and you go out and go on dates, and then if they pull something, then you respectfully decline any further interaction. You don't get all triggered and go off on them. And
I don't marry them.
You don't marry them. I don't marry them. Yeah, because you're not desperate and you have more knowledge now. So
exactly. Yeah. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power.
But I still think that, yeah, there's a thing about knowing what to look for and knowing how we deserve to be treated. I think, too, a powerful thing is cutting cords with people. You talked earlier about how you change your friendships, or you only were around positive people.
Right.
And I think eliminating negative people, even if it's family, is so important. And so many people struggle with that. And I don't think we can heal as long as we have people around us who violate our boundaries or unkind. Even on my YouTube channel now, I have a rule, like, you have to be nice to me. Kindness out. I have to be kind, and people have to be kind, because I can't grow and heal if I, because one of the things could be, making excuses for bad behavior, making excuses like this person doesn't know better, or, if I'm nice to them, maybe they'll start being nice back, or, but they just had a bad childhood, or, they're just having a bad day. Like, I expect other adults now to be like adults, but, it took so freaking long to get there, because I always wanted to be nice.
Yeah. No, I'm. Yeah, you can't heal in the same space where you're surrounded by toxicity, and people are so loyal to their parents, loyal to their siblings, loyal. Well, and then other people in the family will try to make you stay loyal. Well, Shaharzad, that is your mom, or that is your dad, or that is whoever. And that's not going to fly, because if this person is sick and they're hurting you in your spirit, hurting someone's feelings is one thing. They could probably eventually get over it, but if you hurt them in the core of who they are, that's a hurt that is indescribable, and there's no excuse for it, and you're out of here. Blood doesn't make me loyal to you. You being loyal to me and loving me is what makes me loyal and loving to you, period. If you cannot step up to the plate and treat me the way I'd fight a grizzly bear, I'd probably lose. But for people I care about, I will fight a grizzly bear. If you don't do the same thing for me, and every time I turn around, you're doing me like, that gopher game where the gopher pops up and you hit him with the thing. Yeah, if I have to constantly do that to you, you're out of here.
And there's really no excuse for them to misbehave, because everyone, like, you went through all that therapy, and it wasn't like, you said it was a hard work, but I mean, you also got so much out of it. It was also very rewarding and fulfilling and healing. It wasn't like walking through the barefoot through the snow, right? It wasn't painful like that, right? It was just wanting that, and anybody has access to that. Everybody has access to that. So there's no excuse for any of us to put up with bad behavior, because it's the age of the internet and everybody has access to it. To learning how to be kind. And if they notice, oh, I'm not being kind, what's going on with me? They can all get help. So I don't think that we should have to compensate for these people who are not pulling their own weight.
Right. And there's so many criminal documentaries, like I said, I've seen, and the defense attorney will say, well, this person did this because they had a really bad childhood. I'm the wrong person to say that to. I'm not trying to hear that. I don't have the right to murder people, rob a bank, knock an old lady down a flight of stairs because I had a bad childhood. No. you are still accountable for your own behavior and how you treat other people. There is no excuse. You know,
Right.
no excuse. You don't get a free pass.
Well, you're just such a good example of how people can transform their lives, Tranquility.
Yeah.
And Tranquility is a name, I'm assuming that, yeah, I know that's not your real name, and I'm assuming that's a name you came up with, and you are tranquil. And you like
Sometimes.
the water. I'm wondering, do you want to share with anyone? You don't, it might be private, how you came
I
up
don't
with
mind.
Tranquility. And then
Um,
that would be a nice way to end our video.
yeah, I don't know. I have found ways to become tranquil. And did you see my kayak video?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
did? Okay. Yeah, and I got
Well,
scared
you
because I
saw
thought there was a
you thought
snake.
it was a snake. You
I
saw a
thought it
snake.
was a snake, and I'm like, "Ah!" So, but water is nature, period. It's just my home, if that makes sense. Like, I call nature neosporin for your soul. The water and the sound of the water and the beach, which I wish I was on the beach. You're so fortunate you live near a beach. I'm so jealous. But the beauty of nature, it's so calming. Man-made surfaces do not calm you. Asphalt, cement, glass buildings, and stainless steel. You got to get in touch with your I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
like cavemen back in the day. They didn't have any of that. They had grass. Their feet were in grass and plants, and there's just something about it that's natural, and it feels good. And it helped my concentration when I was in school. When I was in school for EMT, I knew that school was hard for me. But when I went to the lake and I studied, I remembered it more. Like, because I was relaxed automatically being on the water. So the relaxation helped me open up my mind to receive the knowledge. So yeah. So it's pretty cool. It's just, I love it. And I don't know, maybe I'm part goldfish or something. I don't know, but I love water. Water has always soothed me. I love it. So yeah, we'll find our peace in life. We'll find what makes us go, oh, feels so good, you know?
Yes, and then Tranquility, that's related to the water.
Yeah, nature,
Yes,
tranquility.
nature,
Yeah,
tranquility. Yes.
my love for animals.
And
You
it's
know,
such a beautiful thing you did by changing your name. I know other people have done that. They didn't have a good childhood, and so they
yeah,
renamed themselves, often an Indian name or something soothing,
yeah,
with
yeah,
how they want to see themselves as a new person reborn, and we
right,
can all be
right,
reborn. And I think you
right.
exemplify that so beautifully.
Well, thank
And by the
you.
way, I want to give you a compliment also on your makeup. Like, you're just always so glamorous.
Thank you. Well, I'm usually tomboy mode, but sometimes I'm in Barbie doll mode.
Yeah,
You know,
I
I got
do
to tell you this
that.
funny.
I
I got
hope
to tell you this funny thing. Huh?
if people enjoyed this video, they can hop on over and check out your channel. I'll put it in the description.
Thank you. I got to tell you this real funny thing.
Okay.
Okay. So I used to color when I was working, I was super color coordinated and all this other business, which I usually am, but sometimes I don't care. You know, I got a wrinkled t-shirt on or whatever. It just depends on my mood. So my coworker noticed that I'm color coordinated where I used to work, and she called me Winter Barbie. Because it was the winter time and I was always color coordinated. She's like, "You're Winter Barbie." Hey, there's worse things I could be called, right?
Wait, I have one more thing I want to ask you. I just thought of
Okay.
this, and I have the right to
Okay.
change my mind. I have one more question. Okay.
Okay.
I love how you laugh, and you like to laugh. You have a joyful, happy laugh, but I'm guessing it wasn't always that way. Do you remember at what point you started laughing, or did you always laugh? I'm guessing
It's funny that you say that. I was thinking about this the other day. I was the jokester. So I
You
had
make
hella.
jokes, but were you also laughing like you do
Oh
now?
yeah. Oh yeah. And
Oh,
I
okay.
think that was my mechanism for like countering the drama that was at home. So when I was at school, I could actually feel joy And I think that was my coping mechanism. And I think that's also a way to hide your own pain. Because if you look at comedians, professional comedians, a lot of them have a very dark background. A lot of them are fighting anxiety and depression, and they use the comedy to kind of counterbalance that, if that makes any sense.
Okay, I guess so. But when I laugh, I'm actually feeling joy. Like the joy is bubbling out of me when I laugh. And was it that way for you also, even when you were still with your parents? Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I was with my friends, because it was an escape too. It was escape from the drama at home. And my friends weren't a threat to me. So I could actually be silly, be a prankster, cut up. You know, I had a girlfriend, a best friend of mine. I could not look at her face because as soon as I look at her, I bust out laughing. So I had to avoid looking at her when we were sitting in class.
Oh, so, you know, people laughing isn't always a sign. You can't always assume that they're happy at home.
Right. That is exactly right. That's exactly right.
This is such a fascinating topic. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so
for
much.
This interview.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, you take care. To the audience, I hope you guys learned something. If you have any questions for either one of us, let us know.
All right. Thank you. Okay.
You're welcome.
Bye. So that's where I'm going to end the recording. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.
So I'll end the recording there. I'll probably upload this as one video and then maybe make a bunch of little snippets.
Okay.
Okay. So because it was super long, I think it was an hour and a half. I don't know if I can even post anything that long on my channel.
I think you can. It may take a little bit longer to upload. I think you can, because I've seen things that were like 2 hours, 8 hours.
I know they're usually live streams. I don't know if they're recorded videos. So I'll have to see. I might have to cut it up, but okay. That was so great. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much, Denise.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna go to dinner now. So otherwise, this was so great. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.
End.